Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. It was -7 in Dorset last night, so I just got my gloves on. It's chilly in the woods. It's interesting to note that when you get very, very hard frosts like this, that it does away with the remaining leaves that were hanging on. And this entire blast of cold air is coming in from the east. It's coming in from kind of Norway and Sweden and Finland and all of those places that are very, very used to this kind of weather. And of course the Brits aren't. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I love it. It's the extremes of the seasons are one of the blessings of living on this very physical planet. So you can have you have your definitive springs, you have your definitive summers and autumns and winters, and I suppose the closer you get to the equator, the less of that you actually have. Wherever we live in the world, we're very blessed. We're very blessed to be here. And I want to talk a little bit about something which I've touched on before, but I'm noticing so much. The only way to describe it would be judgment of others and how they approach their spiritual pathway. If you remove all of the kind of nonsense that we are sometimes adding our energy to, I mean, most of us by now are highly, almost hyper aware of where we put our energy, the things that we engage in, and what we are a part of when we engage or participate in these activities or projects or anything that we add our energy to basically becomes an extension of our own energy at that time. So there's a lot of souls out in the world of social media at the moment, particularly ones that have woken up during the kind of the last 3 years, who are very deep down the rabbit hole. Okay, now Diana and I have talked on many occasions about knowing what is going on this planet, being aware of it, being functionally aware, but observing it and learning about it from a place of non-attachment. Many souls have gone down my hood's sliding down. Many souls have gone down the rabbit hole of the deepest and the darkest places that are here on this earth, the places that have existed for thousands and thousands of years, but we've been unaware of them due to the kind of like the plug-in effectiveness, the plugged-in effectiveness of the 3D matrix. Now they've learnt about it. It's almost like that learning becomes a field of energy of its own due to the outrage, to the shock, and to the, which then turns into, in many cases, a projection of judgment onto others who may be still participating or semi-participating or still living on the surface of the planet, knowing what's going on in the shadowy realms, but choosing to remain in a state of heightened observation, but being also very careful about their energy when engaging in participation. So the one thing that struck me particularly this week was there's a lot of AI, artificial intelligence, that's being integrated into whatever we're doing. You know, the all-seeing eye, the intelligence, the artificial intelligence that then reports back to the souls that hold the matrix, and then that increases and grows its knowledge. Everything that we participate in becomes our energy. Okay, so when we take our light, our frequency, our heart-based selves to a situation and engage with it, that then becomes part of our energy. Now, and this has been a more recent transition, particularly since we've moved from 3D into 4D. A lot of us are holding high frequency light and vibrations most of the time, We are in continuous communication with the higher realms. We're working with the ascended masters in etheric. We're forward moving for the planet. I have been guided on many occasions to reclaim a lot of the symbols that we see and are presented to us, particularly through social media, that we would consider dark, all right? And I'll put the word dark in inverted commas. They are only dark because they have had an association or an energy placed into them by a particular group of people. What happens when you take that symbol and you use it for the purposes of good? I'll tell you what happens to it. That symbol then becomes the symbol for the light. Now, all of the things that we see, all of the subliminal messages that get put through the TV screen, the social media, the very obvious kind of parade of 3D that's kind of that's marching around the planet at the moment, they've used the symbols of the light, our symbols, for a very short period of time. Okay, these symbols have existed, or these reflections of us have existed since Atlantean times. Now, Atlantis existed for 260,000 years, the golden era for 1,500 years. Okay, so that 1,500 year era ended 10,000 years ago. And it was at the fall of Atlantis that the symbols that we held and revered were used for darker channelings. So when we see these presentations of the shadow being given to us, when we witness it, it is now time not to be afraid of this anymore, and to simply retake ownership of the vibration of what we are being presented with. So, to cut a long story short, when we are witnessing this kind of level of maybe judgment or the accusations that we see going around on social media, you are participating in this, or you are using this, so therefore you are part of the dark energy, the darker energy has got you. What we've got to bear in mind is, what is the intention behind the participation? So you can participate in anything that is here on this earth, providing it is done from the heart. And when it's done from the heart, it automatically turns into that vibration. Now, obviously adhering to the laws of the universe. So, and that also pertains to natural law on this planet. And I think if you remove all of the man-made laws and you just come back to the very basics of it, is that you treat others, the planet and the animals and everything else that lives here, as a version of source, of God, or whatever you want to call it. And so it is treated with the utmost reverence, and that applies to pretty much everything. Don't take something that doesn't belong to you, and do no harm, basically. So as within, so without, you know, love thy neighbor, all of these particular aspects. The laws of living here in physical are actually remarkably simple. There's the law of non-interference, where you don't get involved with a situation unless you are invited or asked to, unless you are participating on the energy of grace. And you do not willingly or intentionally go out of your way to take something that doesn't belong to you or to harm another. And that pretty much is how to be a human. So once you are abiding by that, you are providing a vibration of good for those around you, you can go and do pretty much anything, providing it is as long as it is building light, it is building high frequency energy, that it is building heart-based participation for everybody else around you. And this, I believe, is going to become very evident over the next decade or so, as we are given the opportunity to really hold our light. Okay, we're going to have so many more invitations to become kind of fearful and involved in what the owners of the matrix are potentially trying to take away from us. And the route around this, or the route straight through it without being touched, is to hold our vibration as high as possible. That's always been the key. It's about our personal vibration. Now I go back to what I was discussing in the workshop on Tuesday night, when it was actually talking about the frequency within which we participate. And beloved Mary, Mother of Jesus, who I've spoken about in my previous videos, was tested on her ability to hold her focus, to hold her light without any form of distraction before she came down to the planet to do her job. And that's what we are being asked to do at the moment, is to participate, to be here, to use what we have learned to the very highest level of our abilities. And it does require us, and this is what Mira Kafkios and I were saying in the workshop on Tuesday night, we have to become spiritual Spartans in order to do this. It does take self-discipline to be in the role that we are in now. And there is a lot of very undisciplined energies and behaviour being thrown about in the field. This will correct itself. It is all part of the transition through from 3D to 4D as we move into an ever increasing vibration. All of the souls around us are being shown the actual visible polarity of their own personalities, of their behaviour. So all of this comes out, it's all on the table, it's all visible. But there is far more opportunity to indulge in it or engage in it because of the capacity of social media to allow us to communicate whatever we want, whatever we feel, whatever we're thinking at that particular moment in time, and throw it out there. And in which case it then becomes our responsibility because of the energy that we are affecting other people with. So it's, I think, as we walk through this solstice gateway, I've got the workshop coming up with Paul Debris Carey on the 12th, which is the Monday, which I'm really looking forward to. We are going to be casting a very thorough look at where we've been in the last 10 years or so. So much has changed in that tiny blip of time. I mean, what is 10 years on the cosmic scale? What is 10 years on the evolution of this planet? I mean, we're talking like hundreds of thousands of years, and all of a sudden we've shifted and changed to be unrecognizable versions of ourselves in the shortest space of time, in 10 years. And that's what we signed up for. We signed up for this rocket ride, okay? So if you feel like you're on a rocket ride, if you feel like you're on a roller coaster, that is because of our soul agreements to go through this. It's never been achieved before, okay? Usually on a shift from the unascended realms of 3D, the 3D learning planes, and they do exist in other places, but they're all different. Earth is of a particular intensity, which is why it's such a popular place to come and be schooled, because you can achieve so much in such a short space of time here. It is tough. The rewards are fantastic. But for this particular movement from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, we agreed to do it in 20 years, which is, it's never been done before, but we're doing it, okay? So it would normally happen over, say, hundreds or thousands of years reflectively in Earth time. That vibration would slowly change. It would rise. If you take somewhere like the Syrian learning planes, Sirius for example, they stepped up through the dimensional ladder to, you know, where we're heading over a much longer period of time. We are being offered the opportunity to shift and change in the blink of an eye, and we're halfway through blinking at the moment. We're halfway there. So Paul Debris Carey and I are going to be looking at the past 10 years, the beginning, which was also the beginning of my journey, the cosmic moment, on the 21st of December 2012. I was spiritually awake before then, and I'm very much on my pathway and learning and growing, but I wasn't ready for my mission at that point. I wasn't ready for what I'm doing now. And then in 2013, inevitably the doors opened. I reconnected with my personal room in the halls of Amenti, and all of the information began to become available. And so 2012, 2013, 14, 15, the early years, the years that so much happened, with so much, so many events of almost undescribable magnitude occurred in our lives. A lot of us were just getting on with our lives and trying to survive the first initial part of the shift. Paul and I are going to break it down, and we're going to look at it, and we're going to look at how we've landed where we are at this present moment in time, and pretty much try and scale and evaluate where we're going to be going with it in the first year, 2023, 24, 25. Of course, the vibration is going to be climbing, but we're going to be in a very different space energetically. I believe that we've done what we've done, and we've worked as hard as we've worked to get where we are now, because we are the shiniest and the brightest versions of ourselves. And we've never had more help from the universe than we have at the moment in time. There were years during the past decade where the angelic realms and the masters and the dragons and the unicorns stepped back and allowed us to kind of explore the shadow realms and experience this. And it was hard, it was tough. A lot of us took that quite badly. It brought up senses of abandonment, or have I done something wrong? And then all of a sudden the assistance returns after a period of time. As we walk through this December gateway, we have got the might of the universe backing us up. If you're feeling alone, if you're feeling troubled or pressured, or like things are a little bit fruitless at the moment, just remember that this is concluding the first decade of the shift, the most turbulent part of it, and that we are tested to be the top of our game, because that's what we've incarnated for. We haven't incarnated for a master lifetime to do half a job, or just kind of participate on a semi-functional level. Whatever you are doing, whatever I am doing, whatever all of the other the light workers around the planet are doing, we have incarnated to be the very best, or the very highest master version of ourselves. And that is very important to remember when we participate in whatever we're doing. We take that master vibration, that high frequency light, that point of focus, a very similar point of focus to the one that beloved Mary was asked to hold, into everything we do. So if we're faced with a shadow, or if we're faced with something that is potentially threatening, or is saying, I have power over you, that is entirely down to us then to change that vibration, to change the energetic setup and circumstances within that situation. The point at which we become absolutely unshakable in our own light is the point that everything shifts and changes, because nothing can get through to that light pillar, the anchoring of that light that is you. And again, the term spiritual Spartans, it was when that came through to Mia and I on Tuesday, it's like, that's a term, like we're having to bring through this warrior of light, this very disciplined, very focused, very vigilant version of ourselves, in order to participate at the point of the ascension process that we're in at the moment. And it does take discipline. It takes discipline not to respond to the invitations from 3D, the situations that are sent to test us the most, the family, the colleagues, the workplace situations, maybe the stuff that explodes on social media that can affect our energy so much. We move through it. If it knocks us out, if it knocks us sideways, shake it off, raise vibration again, get straight back in there. And if we need to take a bit of time out for self-love, to breathe and relax, to ground, to just be part of this new high frequency, then that is perfect too, because self-love is key. And ultimately, once you've learnt to love yourself, and I have said this many times before, once that as within so without is completely fortified and anchored within the heart, then that vibration changes everything around us to reflect the quantity of light that we are holding. So just a little talk about what is going on out there at the moment. Be kind to your brothers and sisters that may be showing these outbursts, this jealousy, or maybe the trigger. They've woken up in a period of time that is very, very challenging. All of the dark has been revealed in a very short space of time. A lot of us knew it was there, but we didn't know quite the extent of it. The extent of it doesn't matter, okay? The extent of it doesn't matter. It will be cleansed, it will be purified, it will be alchemized, it will be turned into light. One of the most interesting things that I've seen put in motion, particularly for this month, is the request of the recollection of the souls that have evaded reincarnation for the last 10,000 years. They've been called back to the karmic table, which is going to be quite interesting. So we shall see how that pans out. But in the meantime, wishing you all the most beautiful weekend, and I will see those of you that are joining Paul and I on the 12th. Lots of love. Bye for now.